welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And welcome to our final monthly debrief of the year. Which is odd because it's January. But
yeah,
this is our last one of
21.
Wrapping up 2021. So I'm both proud of us for having stuck through with this series one a month.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to miss a month or for it to drop off.
It's been really fun doing them, though.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed doing them because it just allows us to chat.
Well, and it keeps everyone up to speed about kind of where we are, and dive into other not specific game related topics necessarily, which, I think some of those are interesting and relevant, and there's been excellent comments and feedback from certain things, and it's a nice way to engage. So,
and people seem to like them. I think I keep saying that, but
absolutely they do.
We have a lot of views on every single one of them. So
I'm very grateful for everyone who's tuned in and has supported this particular series, and it will continue, obviously, going into next year as well. So I don't know. It was just, I felt like this is number 12. It was like, we did it.
Yeah, we
did the whole year.
We did it.
Didn't miss a single one. Felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Want to pat myself on the back on that one.
Don't sprain your arm patting yourself on the back, though.
I don't even know if I could pat myself on the back.
You're not flexible.
No, I'm only 33, but I feel like I'm getting old already.
God made me inflexible. That's just who I am.
So, December. We were very ambitious in our last video.
I don't know. We were nuts.
We were insane. It was late when we recorded that.
It was very
late.
late.
Brain fever is what I said.
But I also thought we were ambitious because I think that was literally December the 1st. No, it was a little bit later than that.
It was a little bit later. But we were like, oh, it'll be the holidays. We'll have a ton of free time.
And it just hasn't
the
worked
opposite
out.
Has happened.
Well, we had a lot of family events this week. I will say that.
Yes. From
Christmas Eve stuff to Christmas Day stuff to we even had a couple nephews and nieces that had your son had a baptism, and then we went to another one. It was a lot.
Right, and
it was a lot.
And then it's a lot.
And we got in a spat. I'm just kidding. We didn't.
But
I don't know why we didn't play more.
We'd said, we'll play a million games.
I feel like we did, but we just didn't get around to it.
Yeah. So let's talk about what we did play in December.
Yeah.
So the first one, I don't have the box with me, is Soldiers and Postmen's Uniforms. We played that. That was right at the beginning of the month, I feel.
I feel like it was.
But what a good game.
Well, it's a solo game. We played it cooperatively. The reality is we made the decisions together. It works. But it's in that Valiant Defense series from Dan Versen Games, designed by David Thompson. Just a great game. Yeah. Just a really good game. 1939 Poland, the attack on the city of Danzig, the free city of Danzig by the Germans, and they came after the post office.
It was a really good game. I would say, I'm thinking it's my favorite in that series.
Is it my favorite in that? It's really good. I still am so partial to Pavlov's House.
Pavlov's House is very cool with its 3 sections.
But I do think it's very, very good.
Yeah, I'm like...
Yeah. Well, it adds so many cool elements from that 3D, first, second, third floor to... Has all the other elements, but I just really liked it.
Yeah.
Just adds leaders. There's some... dudes that break into the post office, you throw the grenades at them. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Just so much great stuff.
A very, very neat game.
Yeah.
We also squeezed in that night, we played Blitzkrieg from PSC Games. So this is a game...
It's a second edition.
Yeah, this is the 2021 Deluxe Edition that has the little silly expansions inside of it as well.
You mean the Godzilla expansion?
Yes.
Basically. Nippon expansion, I think is what it's called, right?
Yes.
The Nippon expansion, but it's the Godzilla expansion.
That's exactly what it is. So the original game came out a couple years ago and was extremely highly received. This is an abstract 2-player game.
It's not a war game necessarily. It is a really good, historically based abstract game.
Yes,
I enjoyed it.
I love.
Very cool.
This was, and we don't play a lot of abstract games, right?
No.
We don't. But this is like one of the only ones that we've played. At any time recently. And it was, people rated it really highly, but I'm like, this isn't necessarily something that we play very often, not necessarily in our wheelhouse. And we played it, I'm like, this is great. Especially because it's 20 minutes.
and literally it's like a 20-minute game.
Yeah, it's extremely tight.
Yep.
Almost the whole time, and then if it swings one way, then it's over real quick anyway.
Yeah.
So you're not like losing for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
And
you cleaned the floor with me on this one.
But it was just it's a very tight design. There is a solo mod in it.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I keep saying I'm going to, but I haven't got around to it yet.
But
sorry, we have some concert piano going on.
You're welcome.
It's just part of it.
Background music.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was great. I had a really good time with this.
And I, like you said, lots of people were like, "Oh, it's so good," and it's sold out. I mean, you couldn't get it anywhere.
Some places you still can't get it.
Yeah. But we got this at Gen Con. I think I want to say it was it $35 or $40?
Well, we pre-ordered it with Caesar, so...
No. Yeah, we did. But we bought it there. I mean, they gave it to us there.
Yeah, we bought this, but that's...
It came along with Caesar.
It's not $40. It's
yeah, $35. I really enjoyed it. Great game. I really enjoyed this.
Even
though you wiped the floor with twice.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I played, not a war game, but with my son, we played Marvel United.
And I played that with you. It's a fun game.
This month. Yeah, it's a very light, kind of superhero-themed fun game.
Yeah.
We played this a few times. He wanted to do some gaming, and if he asks, I will never say no.
Right.
So I played that a whole bunch, which I appreciated. Now we get to the big meaty war game of the month. Was the
Dark Summer.
We played this one last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played this just before Christmas.
Very good.
Yeah. So the Dark series by Ted Racer. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, go out and play it. All right. There's the Dark Sands, the Dark Valley, and the Dark Summer, all by GMT. He also did the Deadly Woods, which is by Revolution Games, that uses the same system but different name because it's published by Revolution Games.
Copyright, trademark, yeah.
But the Dark Summer's the newest one, just came out this year.
Yeah.
Came out in the summer, and it was just so great. It's great. Mm-hmm. It's enjoyable. I loved it. There's a review of this that's going to come out.
Yeah.
At some point.
We've got kind of a backlog going.
This will be like in February when you see a review for this, probably. But, man, it does everything that I wanted the system to do.
Well, it's a Normandy game,
yes,
right? And it has the beach landings. And we kind of talked about it in the review. I'm not sure the landings were really necessary.
Yeah, this isn't a D-Day game.
No,
this is a Normandy
It's a Normandy game, so it's really the drive on, in essence, Paris, right? And the Allies are trying to break out of the beaches, and the Germans are just trying to move back, don't get cut off, don't get out of supply, which Ted Racer is famously into supply.
Famously vicious supply.
Yeah, vicious supply.
And this is definitely that.
But yeah, really great game. We played this for like 6 hours. I think we got through 5 turns, and I conceded because I had made so many mistakes.
Yes.
Early on. So a second play is going to reveal...
It'll be very different.
I think it's going to go back and forth more.
Which is indicative of the Dark series, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to play it the first time. One of the sides, generally speaking, is the initiative side.
Yeah.
Where, like, you've got to make some progress, you've got to do some stuff.
Right.
And you'll either do that really badly, or someone will defend against it, not great, mm-hmm. but you'll figure out, oh, okay, this is what I was supposed to do. So then the next time you play it, you're much more well-informed about how to do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really like this game. One map, I think it's like 1.5 counter sheets. Everything fits in a GMT tray in here, in a 1-inch box.
And I think once you get the rules down, I really think you can play the 10-turn game in 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, this is a one-session game.
Yeah, it took us 6 hours to get 5 turns, so we'll do it much quicker the next time.
And it's chip pull activation, so perfect for solitaire play.
I do want to say, in that game, you got every die roll you ever needed.
Yes, I rolled...
Literally.
I don't know if I've ever rolled that well in a game before.
You were attacking at 1 to 2 and 1 to 3 sometimes.
The only thing, every time.
If you needed a 6 to get you rolled a 6, and I'm like, oh, geez. Yeah. One of those days.
Yes.
But it was really great. It was really great. We also played a prototype copy of Purple Haze in December.
We did.
In fact, it's on the table in front of us. We were talking about playing it again because it was just that good.
Yeah, this is coming to GameFound from Phalanx
at the end of January.
Yeah, so hopefully in a couple of weeks from when this video is released. Boy, this is something special. Yeah. I had a blast with this.
Yeah.
Solitaire or co-op, little squad of guys marching through the Vietnam jungle. There's a booklet of like story, narrative, choose your own path type and it's well written. There's really good combat execution, cool dice testing resolution. There's random encounters. You're using up your equipment, skills. Yeah. It's got everything.
And it's just dripping with theme.
Yes.
I mean, everything about it, I felt it was very thematic. From the name, Purple Haze, to just the way it felt. I made the comment in the review or the preview. I immediately went back to Platoon, the movie, and I felt that a lot in this game.
I couldn't. Once you said that, I'm like, yeah, it really does feel at times cinematic, but not in like a broad space opera kind of way. In a Platoon, his two guys like sat in a foxhole. It's raining in the jungle, and there might be something moving out there. Like you get some of those feels, which is really cool. So watch out for this one coming soon.
Yeah,
this was
like that a lot.
Yes.
Another game that I played solo. This is a brand new game from Worthington Publishing. This is Tarawa 1943, and in fact, this is just the box because this game's still on my table.
Empty box.
I've played it 3 times. It is extremely punishing, very difficult. But as we always say, a solitaire game should be like that.
Yes.
When you finally win, and I barely won, I think I finished with 4 victory points, which was a marginal victory. And I got that after 3 plays. But man, I needed the dice rolls. I needed the cards to come up the way it is. But it is a really good system. It uses the dice combat system used in Freeman's Farm.
Oh, okay.
From Worthington.
Yeah.
Expands it a little bit, changes it around. But you're rolling a handful of dice, somewhere between 5 to 7, and you have to match dice. So double 6s, you're going to eliminate a Japanese unit. Double 2s, you're going to lose a unit.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You can spend your cohesion to re-roll. It's just really well done. There's a lot of choices and agonizing choices. What units do I activate? Do I bring a new wave on? Do I move this guy up knowing he's now then adjacent to 2 Japanese emplacements? And there are cards that those guys will get to attack you both. And you're like, oh, do I risk that now? And pressure luck style, you got to manage your cohesion. You got to manage your troops. And it's very hard. So
how long does it take to play?
45 minutes once you get the rules down.
Nice. Okay.
My first play, I think it was an hour, but I was taking my time reading every card because I really wanted to understand what is this trying to do.
Right.
And the cool thing about it is there is a 30-card Japanese deck. The game tells you that the game is 24 turns long. So each of those cards represent a turn. So each new game, you're going to take 6 cards
some things
out.
Won't happen,
And some of those you're like, oh, I want that card to come out because it was really bad. Or I don't want that American card to go out because, man, that helped me a lot. So I like that element of it. Even though I played it 3 times, each game has been very different. I told you, I think you saw my tweets.
Yeah.
The game was over at the landing phase. It wasn't over, but I conceded because it was so bad. But yeah, that's what it was, right? This was one of the first real, Marines going into a beachhead that was defended, and man, it was bloody.
Yeah.
And I think that the Allied forces had to decide, is this worth it? Because you got to remember, this was like a 3-square-mile island. And
wasn't it like 1,500 dead, 3,000 casualties?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
And then like every Japanese person died.
Yeah.
And there was like 14 people left.
Yeah.
Like it was insane.
Yeah, and they did it all so they had an airfield.
Yeah, right.
So that they could start doing some different things. But anyway, great game. I really enjoyed this. I look forward to playing it more, and I will be doing some videos on this one as well.
Another game that I played is Cuba Libre. So I know in the last month I talked about I'd started this. We finished playing our vassal game of this just a couple days ago. We all lost. The Directorio won. I had the penultimate turn.
Okay.
And so everyone knew that the Directorio was going to be able to make a move.
So you were the kingmaker.
Well,
or had the opportunity to help one side or the other win?
No, I had the capacity to prolong the game.
Okay.
If I could stop them from doing it, the game would continue on.
Yeah.
And so, like, I thought that I was like, yep, I've done everything. I've stopped it. There's no way that they can do it.
Yeah.
And then I passed it off. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to use my little capability to do this. I'd forgotten he had a capability where he could move 2 spaces, which I like.
Got it.
So there was nothing I could have done to stop the game.
Yeah.
So it was over. But yeah, the directorial one. So the revolution was successful, and so I played July 26th. So I consider
July 26th is such an interesting faction.
I consider it a minor victory because the revolution happened. It wasn't my revolution, but it was
right.
one nonetheless.
A revolution happened. They're so interesting. I feel like they're one of the hardest to play of those 4.
Gosh, and I thought I was doing really well.
Yeah.
And I just could not.
Yep. I've had that experience before too.
It was a great game. It was very tight. It was fun.
You actually bought this for me for Christmas. So thank you very much.
Yes.
And you may ask, well, you've played that. We've always played your copy.
Yes.
So I now have my own copy, and I think it's a 3rd printing copy. Came out in 2018. This is, I think, a first
mine's
printing.
Second printing.
So yeah, I have all 10 coin games now. Until the next coin game that comes out. What is the next one coming out? Fall of Saigon, I think, will be the next. It's an expansion. Now. After that, I'm not sure. China's War, maybe, from
China's
Brian Train.
War, People Power is in the works.
I feel like they're still developing that.
The Pure Lands on P500.
Yeah, but I don't. It's hit the numbers. I actually have an interview with Joe going up in the next couple of weeks on the blog. But I'm trying to think. I think China's War will be the next one.
Sure.
And it may not be till mid next year, but really looking forward to that one.
There's so much good coin on the horizon.
Really, really cool. So
yes, I think that's all the games that have been played. So, yes. So games that we're going to play.
Yeah, in January.
So real quick, currently I still have ongoing my other Vassal game of Gandhi. Yeah. Which is... we gave away too many tactics in the last video. Now I'm getting hosed. So. Okay. you were like, "Oh, do all the ECs." Literally,
they jumped on.
Everyone
it.
jumped
That's
on.
hilarious. I'm glad that I could ruin.
You're
that
welcome.
For you. Well, that's just what you got to do when there's things like that, like the rail line.
Yeah.
And the economics, you got to attack that stuff.
Well, and you know how it is. Like you then start every card is like, I'm never on them. I haven't had a turn in a long time. I feel. And so
I know.
It's like, oh gosh.
What game was it last time that happened?
Pendragon. We played
Pendragon. My gosh, I think I went 3 or 4 cards without a turn.
Yeah.
And I was ticked.
It feels that way, and I could just watch the board deteriorate, and I'm like, please get back to my turn so I can fix
Sometimes
all this.
that is one of the things about coin that you just have to understand that's going to happen.
Yeah, and when your turn does come around, it's like, limb off, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you get 1 action in 1 space. Not good. But, I'm sorry that I brought that up in our video. Well, someone obviously took advantage of that.
And the Cuba Libre game, we finished that, and in that same group, we've parlayed it into a Liberty or Death group now.
One of my favorites. Yeah.
So we are, I think, a couple of people new in that.
Mm-hmm. Who are you playing?
We did random factions. I drew the British.
Oh,
so
well, you know what you got to do, right?
I do. I know exactly what I have to do.
We've played this one enough. You should know exactly what you have to do.
I should.
I'm not going to give it any
I still
hints
feel
away.
like I'm really bad at this game.
Use those frickin' Indians. They are so important for your...
Yes.
Oh, you got to have them, but you can't let them get too ahead.
No, yeah. It's... this is a really fun game.
Oh, it's great.
We're playing with at least one new person who's new to this particular title.
Yeah.
And it's like... It's a step up from Cuba Libre.
Well,
so we're going to go slow. And
it's the first volume of the coin that got a combat die.
Yes.
Which I think was a very cool change. And now, consequently, there's several others that have a combat die.
And it's the first one that has like a significant battle procedure. In the sense of like, especially if there's lots of people involved. Oh, you remove a Tory and then a British regular. And then, do I remove a Patriot Cube or a Patriot... militia. Yeah. Like it's got a bit. It's a bit of a step up from some of the other ones. Yeah, rules wise.
Well, good luck in that one.
Yes,
I've played you many times as the Patriots, and I know your strategies as the British. I might be willing to sell some of those strategies if people want to contact me, and I won't sell them for too much, but
something.
Something. But.
Well,
great game.
It's nice to know that American allegiances can be bought.
Yeah, well, it's what it's become. Other games that we're going to play. So we talked about playing Assault, Red Horizon 41 from a new company, Assault Games. We didn't get around to it. we're going to try to get around to this in January. We also talked about Absolute War.
Yes.
From GMT Games. That was one we also talked about playing last month when we had Delusions of Grandeur. I don't know what happened.
And we still have them.
Yeah, we're idiots. I have a couple solo games I'm planning on playing. So I know these will get played.
Yeah, well, he says.
So he says. This is a brand new... Actually, this game was released like 6 years ago, and they've redone... I think they redid it and reissued it. This is from the Game Crafter. It's called Airborne Commander. So $34, I think. But it's a solitaire. You're playing as 101st Airborne against the German defenders. Some Fallschirmjäger, some normal troops, some panzers. And you have a cool card system, and it's really neat. So
yeah, I've not heard of this or seen anything about it. So I'm interested to see what this is like.
I saw this on, I believe it was Facebook.
Oh.
And it's a 30-minute game. Cards are really cool. The only thing in the game is a bunch of cards.
Yeah,
and a rule book.
This is cool artwork too.
Yeah,
like it's stylistic and done.
Really, Airborne Commander. That's one that I'm going to play. And then the other one, this is also brand new from Worthington. This is Keep Up the Fire, the Boxer Rebellion.
Yes.
So this is in early 1900, Peking. The 8 nations came together, including the Americans, to try and stop. Who was it? I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Foreign legations. That's who you are. Help me. This is like a British thing. British were involved. The Chinese boxers, right?
Yes. I don't know.
I don't remember.
I'm honest.
I'm an idiot. I haven't really looked at it that much.
That's what this game is about, is to teach us some history.
Yeah, and it's a States of Siege series game. This is a deluxeified game. This is by John Welch.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and it has two boards. It's so cool.
The art style that they've gone for, I just think it's very cool.
Very evocative of that period, that part of the world. But yeah, States of Siege series game, reprint, deluxe version. Really looking forward to that.
Yes. For me, Solitaire, for the 3rd month in a row, I'm going to pretend that I'm going to play Phantom Fury. At some point, I will do this.
You bought that a couple months ago, right?
Yes, I did. And at some point, I will play it. I'm telling myself that I'm going to play it soon. So,
and you're going to play...
And I'm going to play... This one I will play.
Magazine game.
Yes, or a game book.
Right, a game booklet. Yep.
So Bismarck Solitaire. Now, a bunch of you have played this. Just got a copy. This is like... It's like $35 on Amazon, and you play through. It's a bunch of solitaire missions. So, quick note about this.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's 24 missions in the game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, cool. Really what it is it's a campaign of 8 missions, and you can play each mission 3 times.
Oh.
And I thought to myself, oh, that's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not... when you replay them, it's 3 different difficulties. So they are quite different. It's not just like the same thing 3
Depending
times.
On how you ratchet
keep the best
up.
score. Yeah, like it's
okay.
It's like, easy, normal, and hard.
Yeah.
So like you'll get a different experience even though you're trying to do the same thing, which I thought was like, okay, I feel less cheated. So,
yeah, got it.
I'm much more inclined to be like, okay, this isn't just 8 missions, and we're calling it 24.
What is the basis of the game? Is it kind of a roll and write concept? Like you're rolling a bunch of dice?
I kind of think so. You're moving around, trying to find things and sink them.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I haven't really read... I started reading the intro the other day, but I don't know all that much about it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be a barbarian, and I'm going to write in this. I'm not going to use tracing paper. I'm not going to use dry erase. I'm going to go for it.
Well, and they have another game like that coming out, Waterloo.
It's already out.
I think it's already out.
Yep, I've seen people playing it. I'm immensely jealous because it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar concept. I think it's 8 missions.
I think that Worthington wanted to do those because there's been some delays in their, the printing of their games. They've got a whole bunch that are coming soon, but they've been kind of backed up.
It's hard to source all the wooden blocks that they use and the trays and stuff. So they're like, they want to get something to the market.
Let's make these magazine games.
So they can just be like, there you go.
So you might say, $35 for a booklet of games.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, it's printed in America. It's it's a neat little game, full color. It's not like you're printing black and white.
And it's this and a pencil and a die.
Yeah.
Like you can take it anywhere. And the reality is if you still tell your nose about it, then it wasn't designed for you.
Right.
So
it's not for you. No skin off your back. We also have, this is kind of an abstract historically based game from Shakos, a French publisher, called Border States. This was a game that came out on Kickstarter maybe first quarter of 2021. We were sent a copy because we did an interview with the designer, and it looks very interesting. It's got some bluff, some lying style. So I look forward to playing it. It's kind of a card-based game with some boards.
A little 45-minute game. I'm hoping this is maybe not Blitzkrieg level, but that kind of a feeling and what I'm expecting, that niche.
The basis for this is it's the border states during the Civil War, and you're trying to win certain battles to swing those states over to your side. So states like Kentucky and Missouri and I can't remember.
They got them on the front, I think. Yeah,
Maryland, Missouri, Delaware, Kentucky, and West Virginia. So you're fighting some battles with cubes and with cards, and it just looks really good, I think. So yeah, we got a copy, and we're gonna try to give that a play.
Yes, I think we've played some of their big format games like Napoleon 1807. Those were very, very good. So I'm hoping that carries off into something a little bit smaller as well.
Well, we also played their Saladin game that was really, really
that
cool.
was good. That was
really
very
cool.
good. I
So very ambitious month, I feel.
Even more ambitious with We as Soldiers.
Well, we talked about doing that one as well.
I got to unbox this first.
It's like a 4-hour game, though. It's not. I think it's 4. Maybe it's 2 hours.
I don't know. But
anyway, it looks really good. It's actually a dual game. It's got They Were Soldiers, and then it's got Hill 875, I think. So
that's more of a primer, but that's in the works.
Yeah. Well, and it's an Axis and Allies style, kind of Ameritrash. Little miniatures, little chits, and it's just a very cool looking game.
One of our patrons is playing it, and they're really enjoying it because it's some really interesting tactical decisions to be made in that game too.
So speaking of Kickstarters, I know we normally talk about that, but that company, Cadet Games, has the Easter Offensive in Vietnam,
which is the sequel to this game.
It's kind of it's not necessarily a sequel, but it's the next iteration in the system. It's more of a grand strategic. It's like most of South Vietnam.
Okay.
But it's the Easter Offensive during, 1971? I'm trying to remember. But it's similar style. It's got some minis. Got some really cool little planes that you fly in as
and
the
they're
Americans.
like this big.
Yeah, it's just... but it's on Kickstarter. It's currently on Kickstarter. I did an interview on it, and it looks good. I also know David Thompson... and his next iteration of the Valiant Defense series is coming to, I think it's Kickstarter in January sometime. Lanzareth Ridge, which is Battle of the Bulge. I have an interview coming with David probably next week. I was trying to hold it off to get a little closer to the Kickstarter.
Well, and that game, they've hired Niels Johansson to do the artwork. And it's
gorgeous. I almost hate it.
Yes.
Because the other 3 volumes don't look anything. They're not bad. They're just in the style of DVG games.
Yeah.
Right? Very functional, very useful art.
They've done in-house.
Yeah. This is over the top. I mean,
but it's not. It's
really,
it's beautiful.
I know, but it's really beautiful is what I'm saying.
What I hope that they do is I hope they go back and revisit the other ones.
I would pay to have all 3 of those other volumes done in a similar style. I'm a big believer in the series games. Let's keep them looking similar.
Yeah. Now that you've made that, that's just it. Now you've done that.
You gotta go back.
You gotta go back and fix the other ones.
And I'd probably shell out the $70 for each one of those again to get because I love those games. Yeah. I just enjoy them quite a bit. They're solo games that you can play at your own speed. They're quick. They're entertaining.
If you can make them look that good. It's just
phenomenal. That's one thing with GMT and the coin series. The spines don't match. You know, they've changed the logo, but that was intentional. This is more the ancients.
Yes.
So this and Falling Sky has that, the more modern ones. But I'm like, I wish they would have done some.
But there's
just a little difference.
There's no real rhyme or reason.
Yeah, it's just some little. I don't know. I'm just a big believer in those series games. Let's make them look similar. Maybe the art style isn't always the same, but anyway. But those are 2 Kickstarters that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's others.
I'm sure there is.
I haven't done as many interviews, so look forward to those. I think those are both good Kickstarters.
Okay, so let's move on to the main topic of this month's debrief. And this was submitted by one of our patrons. And if you wish to also be able to suggest topics for us to discuss, that's available to our kind of $5 level patrons. Yeah. Every month I put up a post on Patreon and I'm like, yo, put in your suggestions, and from there we usually pick a topic.
Do you say yo?
Sometimes.
Give me your suggestion. Yo, guys.
Usually it's, I'm sorry this is so late. Is always how they all start off.
Got it.
And people dogpile with all their suggestions, and we pick ones that are either something we know about or, you know, at least interesting or relevant.
Some of them have been so in-depth. We couldn't do it in this format. We would have to do a comparative...
Like a series.
Almost a basic training series on how those games are, you know.
Yeah, and like there are some suggestions, like someone was asking about doing like an anticipation video of 2022. Well, that's going to be a separate video. We're already doing that kind of stuff. That's coming later because that's an interesting topic unto itself. I don't want to bury it in something that's like a monthly debrief.
Are we going to do one of our kind of year-end roundup videos, or is okay? We'll still need to do that,
and then also stuff for like this coming year.
What are we going to try to do? Some conventions we're going to try to go to.
Yes,
different things like that. Okay, I'll shut up.
So understanding that, like, you know, some of the suggestions don't get picked, I'm always like, please resuggest things.
Yeah.
Just because I don't pick it doesn't mean it was a terrible suggestion. But if you want to get on that, you can always sign up to our Patreon and have the option to do that. And we very much appreciate all the support that we get from there.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference in what we do.
Well, once again, we get that money and we buy new camera equipment.
Yes.
Lighting, audio. I mean, we had to replace our audio cord.
Yeah, I had to get some new audio equipment because it wasn't working.
Because I was getting tired of shooting hour-long videos and realizing there was no audio.
No usable audio.
Oh my
gosh, had audio, it was just like
horrible.
The whole time.
But, you know, we use that money to try to do that. We also have bought some games that we've been asked to play or want to play, and just, you know, we don't have money to buy 2-3 games a month. We just don't.
It helps us to go to conventions.
Yep,
we've more designer
some
interviews
of the expenses,
and more of that kind of stuff as well.
So we appreciate it. I want to make sure everybody understands we're not making money on this. It's just helping defray some of those costs. So thank you.
Yes. So, this month's topic.
Without further ado.
Submitted by Greg Johnson. Congratulations, Greg Johnson. You got chosen. So, and it was, I was reading through them, and as soon as I read it, I'm like, that's the one. It just spoke to me.
Well, because to me, it's an easy discussion topic. We're going to talk for...
And it's one that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
So, he'd asked about what were some of our most memorable convention-based gaming experiences. And so we only started going to Wargame conventions probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, our first WBC was, I want to say, 2017.
I believe that's the case, yeah.
Yeah.
Before
we went to Origins and Gen Con, basically.
Which is fine. You just don't play a whole lot of war games with those things.
No.
Played a bunch of other stuff. Some of that was very fun.
Yep.
But we'll kind of try to keep it mostly to war games.
Yeah.
So,
because we have gone and played, you know, at Gen Con, we've played a lot of different types of games.
A lot of them were fun and memorable.
Yeah. I remember our Battletech. It was like, I want to say it was midnight or 11 o'clock at Gen Con. And we played Battletech for an hour and a half. And I still remember some of the lucky die rolls I got and shot like a missile down your exhaust tube, blowing you up, or something like fantastic
went straight in the air filter, all the way down, complete critical explosion, and just exploded immediately. It was great.
And that was fun. And we have not played Battletech since, but it was a fun game. It was a great experience.
We'll never forget it.
And that's part of what you go to those cons for. You're going to play stuff that you don't own.
Yep.
You don't know. You're trying to explore and expand your horizons. So that was one memorable moment, but we're going to talk about some more specific war games that we played over the years.
So let's start with the insurgency in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I believe that was 2019.
The year before COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2019.
Yeah.
2019. And it was, we kind of organized, a few of us got together and organized a big kind of war games get-together.
With Harold Buchanan and many others.
And about, you know, we did it just on one day, and we kind of sat down for the whole day and played, and there were like 50-odd people there, and we had cool T-shirts, and it was such a great experience.
Yeah.
And at some point, we'll get back to doing that again. But that day, we were just kind of like, we just want to play with as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. And so we started playing a couple of big games.
Well, and we did Board Game Geek lists for this, right?
Yes.
We set up like, or maybe someone else did.
Yeah, there was a big geek list where it was like, hey, I'm going to bring this game. Who wants to play?
Yeah.
And people kind of signed up to play.
Yeah.
And we played the first game that day. We played Cataclysm
from GMT Games,
and we played that max players, and it was kind of wild and
and that I think was our fourth play of that game.
Yes.
And I think both of us changed our opinion about that one fairly significantly.
A lot of people were new, and it took a long time. It was fine. It was, I had a good time with people that were there.
I was happy because I dominated with Germany. I literally dominated. I was in Moscow, like, partying, and everybody else was trying to figure out what was going on.
And But the big game that I really remember from that day that I enjoyed so much was Genesis.
Yes.
From Richard Borg.
And GMT, yep.
Because we'd had... Genesis had been sat on my shelf for a number of years, and I was like, when am I ever going to actually get to play this? Because I thought it was a very interesting concept. The theme was something I've never played anything Bronze Age before, really.
Yeah.
And, like, this game can play, like, 6 people. Mm-hmm. And,
And we played it, you and I, we played the 2-player scenario.
Yeah.
And I had a blast with it.
Yeah, it was interesting, but you're like, what can this game be?
Yeah.
Like, this was, like, cool. It's like playing 2-player Here I Stand. Like,
well, yeah.
Sure.
We've done it.
We learned the rules. We did it.
Right.
But, like, is that what this game's supposed to be?
No.
And we sat down and we max played Genesis, and we played that thing probably about 6-7 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say we started like at 10 a.m. and didn't finish till about 6.
That was our second game. We started.
Was it our second game? Yeah, we did Cataclysm first.
I think we started at like 4 and went till like 10 or 11. Like
it was almost midnight.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Because I remember Brum was like, I kind of want to go, but
we played that, and it was. I had a great time playing it.
Yeah.
You learn a few things about that game, and as such about Richard Borg's design philosophy, which is it's a simulation, not a game.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing I walked away from that the most. That is not in any way, shape, or form an even balanced game. Not only from the different formations you have and units you have and the locations you start, but it is just not.
Yeah, the positions that you are on the board, the size and composition of your little starting civs.
Yeah.
Some of them are very powerful and are also off to the side, so they can't be hampered.
I can't remember who I played, but I was off on the...
You played the Egyptians, I believe, right?
Yeah, I didn't win, but man, I was off on my own. I was just fighting the barbarians, and I was having a grand old time. You guys were over there in the corner, 3 of you on top of each other, just smoking each other.
And we were all kind of fairly small comparatively.
Yeah.
And we're just, anytime you've got a free-for-all, the people who are fighting each other are just all losing.
Yeah.
Because the guys who aren't fighting are just
building,
bigger,
growing.
Bigger.
Yeah.
But it was such I had a great time playing it.
I had a great time because the people, John Connor and I can't remember his brother's name.
Oh,
I can't remember. And then Mike
Heckman,
who is a friend that we've played with before or since. I don't know. It was just the people, the experience, the hugeness of the game. Yeah. I mean,
I got to check a box for a game that I'd never played, which is always that's a good feeling. But
we had played it. We just played the 2-player version.
But
but we hadn't played the big version.
And to play something that was so different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'd had an experience quite like that at that point, where it was like 6 or 7 people around this one big board playing like this ancient game. It was it was a unique game. I don't know if I've played anything quite like that since in that way. Yeah. It was it's very cool, and it stands out to me as well. And it was end of a great day as well.
Yep. And it's an experience, I think, now that we had that, or when we had that, it kind of, I think, engendered in us a desire to keep doing that.
Yeah.
It was like, I want that next fix where we're going to have 6 people sitting at a table playing a game together.
Yeah.
Because we just don't get that. It's mano-y-mano, right?
That day was like, oh, this is what conventions are for.
Yes.
I'm not going to a convention to play in a 2-player tournament.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play 2-player games.
Some people do that, and that's okay. It's not for us.
Yes. Like, well, I'm here to sit down with as many people as possible around some of these big games that you just don't...
We'll never play.
At least we don't normally have. You know, there are some places where they've got big groups and can regularly do that. Yeah. Not the case for us.
And it's interesting, because since we've kind of identified 8 or 10 games that we're like, we got to play these at a... Twilight Imperium 4.
Yes.
We did that. We'll talk about that here. But check, right? We did a huge game of Root. 6-player. Check. We did it. That's not necessarily a huge game, but man, that was awesome to have 6 players all on the same map.
Normally you're playing that with 4, and we played it with like a silly amount of people, and it was great.
Here I Stand, Virgin Queen, War Room. I mean, there's games like that, Sword of Rome we want to play, that we've identified, and we're looking for opportunities to play those. And I just can't wait. Can't wait for the next chance to do that.
Yes.
So I think that was our first experience with big multiplayer games at a convention.
Yeah.
And once again, really gave us a taste for this is what we want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want more of that.
And then later that same year, we went to Buckeye Game Fest.
That was that same year.
Yeah, it was. I want to say it was the same year.
It probably was.
It was in Columbus, Ohio. We were invited by Jeff Coyote. I think it was Coyote. I want to say Karate, but Jeff Coyote, great guy.
Really nice guy.
Had us over there. Rodney from Watch It Played was there. Great dude.
Yes.
And he actually was like, yeah, I've watched some of your videos. I'm like, what? I've watched dozens of yours, but you've watched 1 or 2. That's awesome. But we did another geek list, right? Didn't we do a geek list? Or maybe someone contacted us.
Yeah, I think someone had just contacted... Because we said, hey, we're going to be here. We're going to be in the War Room.
Anybody that wants to play.
Because that's a much smaller convention, right?
Yes.
Buckeye Game Fest had like 350 people there, something like that.
Right.
And
only about a quarter of them were interested in war games.
Like, with the hardcore stuff, at least. But a couple of people who I think are locals there, was Dean and Zach, were like, hey...
I think they're from Pittsburgh, but it's...
Okay.
But,
close enough.
Couple of hours.
They were like... hey, can we, play a coin game together? And so we sat down with them on I think it was the first night we were there.
Yeah.
We played A Distant Plane, which we hadn't played for a long time.
Well, we had played, in 2016, and we'd only played 2-player. We had never had a 4-player experience with a coin game up to that point.
And that was, I talked about this in an earlier video. A Distant Plane was ranked pretty low for me. Because we played it 2-player, and I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
We played it 4-player, and it shot up the rankings.
Yes.
Which is how a lot of coin games are.
Yeah.
I had a really good time playing that.
Yeah.
And what I also enjoyed is we played on the same team.
We did. I was the Americans, and you were the...
I was the government.
Yeah, the government.
And normally, when we play games... Often we'll try
opposed.
to sit on other sides of the table or do other things so that people don't get annoyed.
Yeah.
And but we played on the same team, which was cool. I was able to enjoy that. And then you screwed me in the very last turn of the game and won, which was amazing. Yeah, it was a great move.
Well, that was the greatest thing about that game because the Americans have that recall troops action, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, and I abandoned you and shot up the score, and it's like, bam, I
totally
won.
abandoned
it was
me
awesome.
to the Taliban.
Awesome.
The game was over, you won, and everyone else lost. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But that was a really fun time to play with new people, a big 4-player coin game, and it was just great. And at Buckeye, we also had a couple other amazing game experiences. Like you mentioned, we played a number of games of Root.
Yes.
But we played a big 6-player one.
And it was just... David Thompson was in that game.
David Thompson and a couple other locals.
I literally got my teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
I think I was the cats. But it was awesome to experience that and see all that interaction. Because when we play 2-player, it's just not like that.
No, yeah. That game, to me, is... I wouldn't play it if it wasn't 4-player, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because the more in different types of factions, the better it is.
Yeah.
I think I played as the Lizard Cult.
Yeah, you did.
It was fun. I really liked them. Their mechanics are cool, but...
Yeah,
we got smoked pretty hard.
But that was a great experience.
Yes.
And not necessarily a traditional war game, but it is a conflict-based game. Area control.
And then, so we played that kind of during the day, and then that evening, with some of those same people, we played Twilight Imperium 4.
And didn't we start that like at 8 p.m.?
No, so Twilight Imperium, we started at 6, and,
6.
And it ended at 12.
Yeah.
Which was like, all right.
Yeah.
It does exactly what it says it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I have it, and I bought it because I'm an insane person. We're never going to play it.
Well, we tried to play it with just 3 of us, just to learn.
Yes.
Because I think you can play it with 3, right?
You can, and apparently it's like serviceable.
Yeah. But we didn't have a great experience with it there, but man, we did at Buckeye Game Fest.
It was max players.
Yeah.
And what also helped is everyone else at the table was pretty experienced.
Oh, yeah. So they were able to help us.
You'd never played it, not really anyway. And so being the dummies at the table was actually very good because everyone else was playing very quickly and kept the game going on at a good clip. And I'm just here like, I feel like I know how to read a rule book. And was like, I'm just trying to keep up. So it was actually a really good way to learn the game was to play with fairly experienced people.
Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't take 12 hours.
Yep.
If I'd have been in charge of that, it would have been.
And I learned that game is not about dominance on the field of battle. It is about doing what you need to do to score your victory points, period.
Yeah, and it's...
Which usually requires 1 or 2 key battles, but it doesn't require area control or control of half the map. That's not the way you're going to win.
No, honestly, it reminds me a lot of things like Dune, where it's like negotiation. We're going to make a real temporary alliance so we can kind of switch places, not attack each other so we can both get a victory point. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm done with you now.
Yep.
Next person. We're going to do something over here.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of give and take here and there. That's how the experts play, and it's maximizing that so you can get those victory points and win. It was so great to finally play that game.
Yeah.
I'd had 3rd edition for 10 years, never played it. Sold it, bought 4th edition.
Right.
Was going to have it for 10 years and not play it as well. But we finally got to play it. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. I would play it again at any convention,
I would
basically.
too. But that was kind of a check a box, right? We've played a big game like that and had a great time. And made some new friends and, really had a good experience with it. The rest of that weekend was really fantastic. We played a 3-player game of Churchill.
Yep.
We played, I think it was a 3-player game of Rising Sun.
Yes.
Which was really interesting.
Embarrassing.
We played Pax Pamir a couple of times.
And that was our first time playing that. We played that a few times.
We loved that game.
Loved that game.
Can't remember what else we played, but it was a really good weekend, and we're going to go back to that one.
Yes.
We're trying to go, I believe it's in April of this year.
Yeah.
If COVID hasn't run rampant.
Yeah.
That's my fear. That by April it's not going to be.
Yeah, we'll see, but that's the plan. At least a few months ago was to go to that.
Yeah. What other experiences we've had at WBC, the World Board Gaming Championship?
Yes,
has been my favorite convention that we've ever been to, and we've been twice.
3 times.
3 times. Yeah. Okay, I have enjoyed that a lot because you're right in the trenches with designers. The publishers are there. It's a small 400 or 500 people.
It's slightly more than that.
Well, but I'm talking about the wargamers.
Sure.
Maybe it is more than that, but some people stay up on that 4th floor and never come out.
The attendance is a couple of thousand. I think it's like 3,000.
But there's a lot of board gamers too. It's not just wargamers.
Well, and it's also dispersed, right?
It is, yeah.
Like there's like a main hall where you're playing a ton of board games and war games.
Yeah.
But then there's like a Combat Commander tournament, Commands and Colors tournament. For the
Labyrinth tournament. Yep.
Empire of the Sun tournament. Like that. It's
B-17,
it's the World
Queen of the Skies.
Board Gaming Championships.
Yeah.
They hold all the tournaments there. It's wild. Yeah. But like you said, everyone there is like someone.
A designer, a developer, publishers, longtime wargamer. I mean, it's a fantastic.
It's the best
experience, and the reality of it is, everyone is so approachable.
Yes.
Right. Mark Herman's talking to people. John Paniski's over there talking to people and playing games with
David
people.
Heath's showing you his games.
Sean Drulinger, the maker of Point Blank, he's over there talking. We talked to Ben Hull. We talked to
Trevor Bender.
Trevor Bender, the maker of Labyrinth, the Forever War, and just such a fantastic experience. And we've had some really memorable games there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get to play a game against the designer, who is also an awesome chap.
Yes.
I mean, that's the reality. Mark Herman.
Yeah. So we played Versailles.
Our first year we played Versailles.
And it was a prototype at the time.
It was. So
that must have been 2018.
It changed a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Because we played the real version. I'm like, well, this feels a little different because some changes were made, but it was similar.
Yeah.
And we played with Mo, with Mo's gaming table, Maurice Fitzgerald, Ura, Marine, right? Great guy. Really miss seeing guys like that.
Yeah.
But man, what a great opportunity to sit down for 3 hours and play a game against the designer. And we had a great time.
And
absolutely a great time.
First off, fun game and enjoyable.
Yeah.
But amazing people. But also, it was also fascinating to sit there. And when we were towards the end of the game and with the scoring, Mark Herman's got a little notebook.
Yep.
He's taking notes about the scores and who scored what card and what it all looked like.
Yeah.
Because he's also it's still in its playtesting, making sure that things are balanced. It was very interesting to see that at that level as well. Very, very cool.
Because it was still in playtesting. It wasn't a finalized game.
Yeah.
In fact, it wasn't finalized for another almost 2 years.
Yes.
So that was our first experience with Mark Herman. Then in 2020?
Was it
2019.
Is that when we played Fall of Saigon?
Yeah, we played Fall of Saigon with Mark and Dan Pancaldi. And what a fantastic game. An expansion for Fire in the Lake, coin game. Man, that was a great time.
Yeah,
it took forever. I mean, we played 5 hours.
Yeah, that was the whole evening.
Part of it was Dan was learning. Part of it, Mark was doing a little developer, designer discussion. And I don't know, it was really fun. Really a fun game. And I can't wait for that one to come out. That's coming out, my guess is in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
But that was a great experience to play with Mark. And I think during those WBCs, we've had great interactions with John Paniski.
Yeah.
Another one, Greg Smith. Greg Smith.
He's always got his new games. And he's you just walk in and he's like, guys, come sit down and play. And you're like, yes.
And he's got this huge flak tower, dice tower.
It's so cool.
And it's so ridiculous because you don't need anything that big, but it's so fun. And we've had some really good experiences with Greg. And in fact, our ages are Greg's probably 15, 18 years older than me.
He's twice as old as I am.
30 years older than you. But we made some connections and had a great time playing his games with him sitting there. And what a great time. And that's one of the things I love so much about this gaming. And really any type of gaming. Yeah. But wargaming is just special because it's historically based. There's a lot of learning going on. And it's just interesting to play those games with people.
Well, and a number of the games, people have some form of personal connection to.
Yeah.
Whether it's something that they studied at school or something that they experienced in their career.
Yep.
Or, a family member served in that part of the military or something like that.
Yeah.
Almost every designer has at least one game, usually multiple, where it's there's something extra there. Mm-hmm. And so it's not just hey man, I've designed another dungeon crawling fantasy game.
Right.
There's in wargaming there's almost always just something extra there, which I really appreciate, those little kind of nuggets of personality and history on top of learning something interesting about what's happened.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that kind of stuff. And at somewhere like WBC, when you can sit down and talk to the designer or the developer of those things, you get that. You get the designer's notes in the back of the rule book that half of you don't read. You get that lecture.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I remember we were sat down. One of my favorite experiences at WBC was we were sat down. Mark Herman taught us Gettysburg just before that was released in C3I. We sat down, we played it. It was great. And then I turned around and someone had sat down and was cutting out prototype counters. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, I recognize the style of that map. That looks like Unconditional Surrender. Mm-hmm. And sat next to me was Sal Vasta cutting out his World War I Armistice game, which who knows where that's at in development.
And it's never been
5 years later.
P500.
No. It's
which is
not
interesting.
Even close to being done.
Yeah,
but I'm holy crap.
Yeah.
I'd just finished playing it that summer.
Yeah.
So I've got Mark Herman here, Sal Vastas here, Adam Starkweather was at a table over.
Yep.
Went and had a chat with him. Like, you're just surrounded by board game and war game luminaries, and no one's in an ivory tower.
No,
Not
they're
a
all
single
approachable.
person.
You can sit down and talk to every single one of them.
And we played Gettysburg. It was great. And then we sat and I watched Sal Vasta play Gettysburg with someone else, and they played it completely differently.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's so interesting to experience that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
If there was one Wargame Convention that I was going
WBC.
And it's without question.
It's kind of the tip of the iceberg, the top of the iceberg. So
all of them, most of them, or at least most of the major publishers are there, and have like you can get all that stuff. They're selling all that stuff. Usually, you get great discounts there as well.
Yeah,
it's great. It's the best.
Yeah, it's a great time, and so I think those are kind of the war game convention game memories that I have. We've played a lot of their great games and met a lot of other people, but I think those 5 or 6 that we shared.
Yeah, those are some of the like major ones.
Well, one other that I remember, Amabel Holland, when they were known as Tom Russell. You know, we met them, and man, it was a great time. Had a great conversation about design and Hollandspiel, and what game was that we sat down and played? I can't remember.
Westphalia?
Yeah, Westphalia.
That was wild.
We sat down and played that game that was so interesting and weird and cool, and just had a great experience. And we met several people who were fans of the blog, and I think I even stood up because we needed one more player.
Yeah, we had 5 and you need 6 for that
and
game.
I screamed out in a nice tone. I didn't scream like a maniac. Maybe someone thought I was screaming like a maniac.
They did.
Hey, we need one more player. And some dude came over, and he was a great guy too, and sat down, and 2 hours later we were done with this game. And man, what a great experience. It was just fantastic. But I crave those types of experiences again, because the last 2 years we've kind of been in limbo.
Yeah,
with
so
that.
One of the other things that we've done is, was it last year? We went to Basement Con, which is a colloquial expression.
Yes.
Where we've
friends in St. Louis.
So friends in St. Louis.
And we're going back this year.
Yeah, we're going back in February. We got together with them. I think they'd come over here to Indy and played with us. We played Here I Stand,
Tank Duel, Call of Cthulhu Wars. Sorry, Wars. It's late.
Yes, it is. We'd kind of done that, and then we went over to St. Louis, and they brought, they had some of their sons were there, and some other people came in, and that's where we played Virgin Queen. Awesome. Max players, amazing. War Room, max players, amazing.
Pendragon with 4 players.
Pendragon, and so this, we're going to do that again this year, and we've got Napoleon's Imperium lined up.
From Compass Games.
And maybe also, Onward Christian Soldiers, or Sword of Rome, something like that.
One, yeah.
So, we're trying to do more, or, get more of those experiences as well. So there is more of that, in the works, at least, as well.
And we have talked about it. I'd love to do a con.
Yeah.
The problem is picking the time of year that makes sense. And if it's a certain time of year that has good weather, people don't want to come to a gaming convention.
It's we talked about this almost 2 years ago. We were like, oh, we should do this. Yeah. And that in 2019. Yeah. End of 2019, beginning of 2020, we're like, oh yeah, what if we did a convention? Well, pandemic hits, great. That's out the window. Yeah. And just a couple months ago we were floating the idea of what would that look like if we were to do that? And you're like, okay, the things start to go downhill a bit more. Yeah. So at some point we will do it.
We want to do it to get that experience of playing these big multiplayer war games with max player counts. Yes. Yeah. And with those of you out there that would come.
I would rather for a couple days play a bunch of short coin games to meet as many people and to play with as many people as possible. Yeah. Gaming is such a unique hobby in that it is very much a collaborative social experience. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Fishing is fishing. Hiking is hiking. Yep. Gaming is, we're going to sit down at a table, we're going to enjoy each other's company, and we're going to do something. Yeah. That activity is going to be interactive. It's going to be educational, it's going to be learning, it's going to be competitive, it's going to be fun, it's going to be edgy. And I like you said, I want to do that as much as possible at those conventions, because the more games I can play, the more people I've met, the more enjoyment I've had, and the more experiences.
But seeking out those opportunities is something we're going to continue to try to do. We've enjoyed it. So I think those are some of my favorite memories.
Agreed.
We've met some fantastic people, really salt of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Played some great games that we most likely would have never experienced.
Yeah. Or at least to their
truly
fullest.
experienced. Yeah. So it was great. Great fun.
Yes. So check out conventions. They're a big win. We'll at some point let you know which ones we're actually going to, and then you can always sign up to those and come play with us as well.
Yeah.
So appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.